Thanks for watching the Council in Brief. I'm Susan Kennedy. We're here with all the news of the Montgomery County Council for the second week in April. It was down to the wire in Annapolis this week as lawmakers wrapped up this year's 90-day session of the General Assembly. Lawmakers worked well into the night on dozens of issues, including the flush tax, wind power, and of course, the state's budget. But in the end, legislators failed to reach an agreement on a package of tax bills, which will more than likely result in a special session to avoid the enactment of the so-called doomsday budget. It is the first time since 1992 that the legislature has not completed its work on the budget during the 90 days.
Thank you, Councilman.
Now it's up to Governor Martin O'Malley whether or not to call for a special session to allow them to take up a plan to increase income taxes to avoid the most severe cuts. Aside from the budget, the governor called the session solid in other areas.
Well, it's been a very, very strong session for jobs and also the environment. The things that we were able to do in our capital budget with our AAA bond rating for schools construction, for water, wastewater infrastructure, and many other things supports about 50,000 jobs in this budget.
CRAIGRICE was in Annapolis representing the council as the final votes on outstanding issues were coming in.
You know, we've had these visions of shaping our future for the county. I want to make sure that the decisions that they're making are in line with those. And so, you know, with the assist of our council president, Roger Berliner, who asked me to be here to help in making sure that that message was heard.
Montgomery County legislators worked diligently throughout the session to soften the blow of the shift of teacher pension costs back to the county, as well as changes in the maintenance of effort law.
We are going to be doing some version of a switch of the teachers' pensions. Breaks my heart because it's one of the few areas where Montgomery County actually gets a pretty fair deal. But this maintenance of effort, we want to continue. We want it to be good, but it will have to be readjusted because right now in the present economic climate, we cannot continue where we were a few years ago.
The legislature also voted to double the flush fee to keep pace with water and wastewater infrastructure. The tax is used to fund a Chesapeake Bay restoration fund. However, the gas tax proposal was put on the back burner, but lawmakers say the idea is not completely dead.
The bottom line is we do need to find revenue to meet our transportation needs, and particularly in Montgomery County, my constituents recognize that we've got the worst traffic gridlock in the country.
But for many in Annapolis, the highlight of the session came early when the legislature passed the Marriage Equality Act.
But we're deciding here in Maryland that when you walk through the courthouse door with a state-granted marriage license that gives state-granted protections, that every family deserves to be protected equally under the law.
The semi-annual report of the Planning Board to the Council typically occurs in the spring and fall of each year. This week, planning officials presented their latest work program and briefed council members on major parks and planning issues on the horizon. One particular piece of good news that has been well received is the 30% decrease in review time for various applications.
A lot of us have not been happy with the length of time because time is money, and if it doesn't result in a better product for the community, then basically we've burned people's money for no apparent reason. So shortening the process, as long as you're not, short-circuiting community input and environmental factors, is a good thing.
In other news, a work session on plans to redevelop downtown Wheaton. At issue, the proposed construction of a 150,000 square foot building for use by the county or as a new headquarters for the Park and Planning Commission. The council's Fed committee has recommended funding for this project.
The first stage, as we see it, will be the redevelopment of the parking lot in the middle of Wheaton. It's known as Lot 13. It's across from the Regional Services Center. We're going to enhance that with a great new park, and we're going to put a park and planning headquarters there and maybe some other government offices. It remains to be seen exactly what will go in that full site, but we've opened the door for some really kind of immediate improvement to Wheaton.
Well, that does it for this edition of the Council in Brief. I'm Susan Kennedy. Thanks for watching.